Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Fall Jersey. Joe Archino back here with the full NCAA prediction and breakdown bracket show, and really picking up right where we left off. Just did the South and the West. Now we will focus on the East and the Midwest, and clearly the answers that you want to know hopefully are here in a condensed and quick manner. I think that's really what it is. There's so much stuff to sift through. You want the content and you want it quickly, so not wasting any time. In my final four, out of the South and out of the West, I had Kansas and Oklahoma, and now we will delve right into the East. And East, right off the bat, we have North Carolina, the number one seed, and they're going to be playing, of course, a 16. Nobody has the 16 beating a 1. North Carolina advancing there. I said in the last segment, all the 8-9 matchups are very difficult. I really think they all present challenges, but I like Providence a lot, especially the way that they've really started to come into their own. I have them over USC. Indiana, of course, over Chattanooga. Indiana solidifying themselves with a Big Ten championship victory. They've had a great year. Tom Crane's done a very good job with this team. Of course, a lot of people have them winning here. Kentucky over Stony Brook. Kentucky, now again, conventional things and conventional kind of words of wisdom always tell you that the teams with the strongest guards win. And while maybe that hasn't always been the case the last 3 years, it really does always mean something. And clearly in Tyler Ulis, they might have the best guard in the country. It might be the best guard Calipari has ever had, and that means something. Keep your eye on Kentucky. Certainly you move forward. Notre Dame has got an interesting matchup. I think they get it done. You look at the next one, West Virginia playing Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin is no slouch, but West Virginia's got a very good team. Have them advancing. Wisconsin over Pittsburgh. Xavier over Weber State. Now we'll kind of move forward a little bit. I have North Carolina over Providence. I have Kentucky over Indiana. I have Notre Dame over West Virginia. And I have Xavier over Wisconsin. I'll kind of focus on the Indiana, Kentucky, and Notre Dame, West Virginia one because the other two I don't think anybody has as much problem with. Indiana, Kentucky is a very tough matchup. These are two traditional powerhouses. There's a lot of emotion invested in a game like this. But again, where you have to separate these games in a tournament this year, which is defined by so much uncertainty, is the things that have worked before. Clearly, John Calipari, I think one of the things that helps his team the most here is they're playing with so much less pressure than they did last year. Every single game, John Calipari after last season looked like, it just took 10 years off of his life because every game was so much pressure. Keeping that perfect streak alive put so much pressure on them. But they haven't had that same pressure this year. It's been about growing and learning and building off of the losses. And without that pressure, Kentucky is a very dangerous team to face, especially when they might have the best guard in the country in Tyler Ulis. I think Kentucky is a very dangerous team to play here, and against a very good Indiana team, those little factors there kind of will push them over the top against Indiana. In Notre Dame, West Virginia, a lot of people have West Virginia moving far in this competition, but I really like the way that the Irish have played about their season. They are a smart basketball team. They can hit their shots, and when the shots are falling and their basketball IQ is at its best, they're a team that I don't want to see. Then we move forward. North Carolina over Kentucky. I think if this matchup does come through and follow through, this could be the most difficult game to predict in the tournament. I'm a big North Carolina fan. I'm a big Kentucky fan. I think both teams are two of the best there is in this tournament. They both have very strong guard play. They both have very good depth. And, of course, where it matters the most in this tournament, they are both very well coached. But I have to separate them by who the better guard is. And if I have to separate Marcus Page and Tyler Ulis, I've got to give the edge to Tyler Ulis. So I have Kentucky over North Carolina, and then I have Notre Dame over Xavier. Kentucky moving to the Final Four out of the East, and I think that's a terrific series of games. Kentucky against North Carolina, and then Notre Dame against Xavier. Great matchups, but I do have Kentucky moving on to the Final Four. And like I alluded to earlier, I think the fact that they're not playing with pressure, they have maybe the best guard in the country. Those two factors right there make them very dangerous, and I have them getting to my Final Four. We move forward to the Midwest, and starting off with the Midwest, of course, Virginia will win their opening matchup. Butler and Texas Tech following the suit of tough 8-9 matchups. Yet another one, but I like Butler. I like their IQ. I like the foundation Brad Stevens built and left there. They are in good shape. Then Little Rock over Purdue, a 12 beating of 5, but Purdue just doesn't do anything for me. They haven't done anything for me all season. I think Little Rock gets it done against them. Now, of course, the one here that's getting the most buzz is because Iona College is in the tournament over Iowa State. A lot of people love Iona here. I do as well. Now, I love Niang. I think Iowa State is a team, and he is the integral focus of that team, and he's got versatility, he's got strength, he can get his shot away from the basket. He's a very, very dangerous matchup problem for anybody. But Iona is not a team anybody wants to see. They're so good offensively. They're as good as it gets in the country offensively. But where they're not always consistent is defensively. When they play defense, and when they really commit to it, they could be a tremendous basketball team. They're at their best when they play defense. But they have some matchup problems. I think Niang will create some matchups problems, but Iona's veteran leadership will help them power through in a game like this. And we certainly saw Iowa State really drop the ball last season, losing in their first-round matchup, and people had sky-high expectations for that program last season, and they did not live up to them. I have Iona getting it done against Iowa State. I think that the three veterans, Isaiah Williams, Aaron Roundtree, and A.J. English, all provide exactly what they need to get past them, and they will win this opening game. We move forward a little bit. I have Seton Hall moving on over Gonzaga. I have Utah over Fresno State, Dayton over Syracuse, and Michigan State over Middle Tennessee. Now we'll move forward. Virginia over Butler. I love Tony Bennett's team. He kind of is not a guy who shies away from the truth, and he did say the truth. We're not going to just go out there and put up crazy numbers and dismantle opponents, but we're going to control the tempo. We're going to impose our style, and our style is very hard to beat. That is very true. It's a very well-coached team, and while their pace of play is better than it was last year, they still are not going to trounce opponents, but that's okay because their style is their own, and it's very tough to match. Then we move forward to Little Rock over Iona. I really think this one could go either way. Little Rock and Iona. It comes down to this. Can Tim Cluse get Iona to channel their best on the defensive end? Because Iona is as good as it gets in the country offensively. Where they make their mark is on defense. If Tim Cluse can get Iona to use their defense to the best of their abilities, they have every reason that they could beat Little Rock. But I have Little Rock winning this one in my bracket. We move forward a little bit. I have Utah over Seton Hall. Well, I do think, again, like the matchup I just talked about, this is another one that could go either way. Seton Hall has played very well as of late. They just had that big win against Villanova this past weekend, so they're playing with confidence right now. I think this goes either way, but I do like Utah slightly better in this one. Then Michigan State, of course, over Dayton, and then we move forward a little bit further. Virginia against Michigan State, the one against the two, like most people predict. And, it's tough because your brain tells you that I can't pick who everyone else is picking because that's never what it ends up being. But this is a kind of year where there's been so much uncertainty and so much inconsistency that you have to go with the teams that have shown the slightest degree of certainty this year, because no one has ever been able to consistently stay on a week-in, week-out basis. They've been the best team in the country. It has shifted. It has changed. There's been injuries. There's been other things responsible for it. But you have to go with what's worked in the past. And what's worked in the past has been Tom Izzo. And for me, that's why I have Michigan State over Virginia. This kind of shifts a lot. People have different opinions. But I have Michigan State over Virginia. Again, I love Tony Bennett. I think Virginia's style is unique to their own, but I don't think that it's well suited against everyone in the country, especially some of the other best teams. Michigan State, to me, that will have enough to get over them, and they would advance to the Final Four. So out of the East, I have Kentucky, and out of the Midwest, I have Michigan State, which makes my Final Four Kansas against Oklahoma and Kentucky against Michigan State. Now, in the final, in the championship game, I have Kansas against Michigan State. Really not a surprise. It's what most people have on their brackets. But again, although everyone's going basically with the same final, I think there's a reason for it. This has been a year where it's been so hard to predict. There's been so much uncertainty. You have to go with things that have been consistent. You have to go with the patterns that have shown to be true. And because of that, I think you look at these matchups. You get Bill Self from Kansas. You get Tom Izzo from Michigan State. You might have the best player in the country in Denzel Valentine on Michigan State. And you might probably have the best roster in college basketball in Kansas. Those two factors combined with the coaching makes it a competent pick. It makes it very probable of happening. Kentucky makes it interesting because, again, they have the best guard in the country. Calipari's team's not playing with pressure. Oklahoma, arguably to boot, might have the best player in the country in Buddy Hield. And they also are a very deadly and great accurate shooting team. All those factors make this difficult. But I have Kansas, I have Michigan State, and at the end of the day, I've got Michigan State winning it all. And it's one of those things where a lot of people do have Kansas winning. I've seen a lot of Michigan States as well, but this is a year defined by uncertainty, and in a year defined by uncertainty, you need to find where the certainty lies, and the certainty to me has always lied in Michigan State, in Tom Izzo, who's a proven winner in this competition and does very well getting his team prepared. History tells you a lot, and in the tournament, you have to rely on history heavily. Because of that, I have Michigan State winning it all, and that's the full bracket. One more time, the Final Four: Kansas out of the South, Oklahoma out of the West, Kentucky out of the East, and Michigan State out of the Midwest. I think that would shape up for a remarkable one, but to be honest, if you ask how accurate I feel, I just don't know what to tell you. This has been a year where it's been impossible to figure anything out. It makes it fun because going into this tournament, I think we're going to see shape-ups and things happen that will have expected to happen. It could be completely different and more so than any other year. It's because of the way that this season has gone with the constant shaping and differences that we've had in the top rankings. It's going to make it fun, but you have to base it and pick based on what has been proven, what has some degree of certainty. And for me, Michigan State just has the highest degree of certainty. But until then, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault to hear all the NCAA tournament rumors and news and my thoughts. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.